will get it.
What is going on, everybody? How we doing? I had to play that again because some of what we're going to talk about tonight has to do with that. So, how's everybody doing tonight, though? I hope everybody's doing great. Crank that down a little bit. We doing good? On this very chill, laid-back Saturday night. What's up, Nelson, brother? How we doing? Zach, Eric, Bobby. Hope y'all are doing great tonight. Having a good weekend. Getting some good chill time in. Yeah, man. We're gonna be doing. I want to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. Yeah, I'm fine with them. Look, here's the thing. We'll slow roll into the conversation tonight. I'm gonna do some gaming here in a little bit too, but I have a lot to say. I've spent a couple of days. I didn't want to jump right into. I didn't want to jump right into like speculation, discussion of my thoughts right after the Game Awards, even yesterday. I want to take a couple of days and think about it. First, let me get something warmer on. Hang on. I'm kind of keeping it a little bit chill in the house tonight. It's cold outside right now, so. But we'll put on a little hoodie, get a little warm. Because we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to talk about. And all good stuff. All good stuff. With the gaming industry in general. What I see happening with the direction of the industry, kind of what's happening. The call, like kind of the calling cards, the hallmarks of what we saw at the Game Awards. The direction of things that no one's really talking about, and how that's going to affect what I do moving forward. First off, what up, Darth Magus? Yeah, like the individual game stuff, we'll get to here shortly. But there was a clear message sent by the gaming industry. Not just last Thursday, but last week, and really the past couple of weeks, really. Especially from some of your more higher tier development studios. They're ready to get back to making fun games. They're ready to get back to making video games. I think we were in this trial period of, big budget, big thematic games and stuff. And every company was trying to make them. Some of them with more success than others. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's been a failure for a lot of companies, but at the end of the day, how do I want to say this? Because again, I've been deep in thought about what we've seen the past couple of weeks and what we saw Thursday night. And I feel like the big juggernauts, and especially indies and stuff like that, they're ready to get back to making video games. We've seen a lot of the big companies try to make these big thematic, epic, cinematic video games and stuff like that. And some of them do well, some of them don't find very much success doing that. I think Capcom has done a pretty good job about making games like that. Square Enix, bless their hearts, they try their best, but they can't get out of their own way. Konami is trying to do that. What we've seen from the past couple of weeks about rumors and things that came to fruition, everything is companies are ready to start making just video games again. Like, companies want to find the joy in creating fun games again. I opened with that Mega Man announcement, and I said on Discord, and I've talked to quite a few of you, just one-on-one in DMs and text messages over the past few days. That was probably one of my favorite announcement reveals ever. And it wasn't anything earth-shattering. We barely saw any gameplay footage or anything. But they made that feel so special. They made that feel so important. Like, the way it started with the orchestra. And I watched the actual trailer without the orchestra. And it's whatever. It's okay. It's whatever. With the orchestra and what Jeff Keighley put together to show this, I'm all in on Jeff Keighley. You say whatever you want to about the guy. He showed at this show they put together, everything's not going to go off without a hitch. Everything's not going to be perfect. But he showed at this event he loves video games. He loves this industry, and he loves giving people a voice and a spot to show what they're working on. That, more than anything, if that's the role he facilitates for the industry, then I support it. We may not get behind every decision made at the show, and we can break things down into like microcosms, and we can pick things apart, little details and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what he is doing, he's doing God's work out here. He's out here doing God's work. I fully support, I hope at some point that him and the Game Awards Inc. crew, they have like their own network. I think it would do very well. And they have proven that it would be well managed by people who know the industry and know what they're doing. Maybe they could have a Muppet show on their network or something. I don't know. But the way, like, I have been watching reaction. Like, I don't watch reaction videos to anything anymore. I'm kind of dull and numb for the past couple of years to the gaming industry and what people have to say about it, because I'm kind of like in the mindset of I've just got my opinions. They're my opinions. You got your. This Thursday night's Game Awards really set me on fire in a good way. Reignited my passion for the gaming industry. It's not been dead, but I've been very much like, I'm into what I'm into and I don't care really about much else going on. That show ignited my passion for the industry and what they're doing. Like, I've been going and watching reaction videos of just the countless videos of these people reacting to the Mega Man announcement. Here's why it's important. Don't click away yet. Don't click away yet. This is why it's important. These weren't old head gamers like me. These were young people. These were VTubers. These were like every type of content creator you can imagine, from every different generation, from every different type of content that they make. When they figured out it was Mega Man, everyone I watched collectively lost their shit. Some things speak across generations. It told me, and here's the thing. Like, we love Final Fantasy here on this channel. Some people love Resident Evil and all this other kind of stuff. Resident Evil's niche, it's a bigger niche than Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is a small niche, right? But to see all these different people, Mega Man, games like that, those are not niche. That is the kind of thing people think of when you say video game. They think of Super Mario Brothers. They think of The Legend of Zelda. And apparently, I'm a huge Mega Man fan. You all know I've got the old games on my shelf. Almost all of them. And I've got, my little Mega Man 1-up face right next to Magus. It's always been there. Or Magus, whatever you want to say. They think of Mega Man. And the way Jeff Keighley did it with the orchestration, with Wily's Castle being orchestrated that way, my favorite version of the Wily Castle theme ever now. Like, I've been watching these reactions, and every time I hear that music, I'm just like every time I hear the music in that trailer, it feels cinematic, it feels epic, it feels and the way you're going through that corridor, and it's got all these little Easter eggs that you're looking at a Mega Man thing, and it's got the big X on the door at the end when it opens. They just made it feel so special. And if that's what they did with Mega Man, think of the plans that this company has for all these other games. What about when we get our first new Castlevania game at Ages? I mean, it's been longer than Mega Man 11 since we got like a legit Castlevania game that wasn't like a port or a collection or something like that. Companies are about to get ready to start making video games again that don't cost $100 to $150 million in 5 years. That the reason it's exciting is we're going to start seeing more stuff coming out from these developers. Like this Mega Man game, 3 years tops development. It's coming out in 2027. If they've already got a year into it right now, we're looking at 3 years and probably not a huge team on it. Take your time. Make it awesome. Make it awesome. I didn't hate Mega Man 11. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it, but and there are other things from the show that we're going to talk about and discuss, but the fact that like after the Game Awards this year, yeah, you've got your people that nitpick, but you've also got people, and this is a conversation we'll have to have another time too. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but it's one that needs to be said by someone with not a lot of viewers, and I guess if I had like 2 million people, I wouldn't want to piss off 1.5 million of them, 75% of your people. But there are some people out there that just want to be negative, that just want to be haters, and just want to find things to tear down because they're miserable. There are those people out there, and we will have that conversation later. I am not going to entertain that shit anymore. Like, seeing what Capcom did at the Game Awards and knowing that Square Enix could do that, I'm not pigeonholing myself into backing one company on my channel anymore. We are going to discuss video games here on this channel. We're going to discuss video games. Occasionally we'll discuss some other stuff. We're going to discuss some other things like, anime or classic stuff and whatever, storytelling in games and how it's affected by books, movies, and anime and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to just talk about Square Enix anymore because you're waiting for a train to pull into the station that doesn't keep good time, with them. And the fact that they didn't have anything to show at the Game Awards was pretty damning to me. You can defend it all you want. And you can defend the company all you want. I mean, they're fine. And when they start putting stuff out, I'm going to talk about it. And we're going to cover it. But holding for bated breath for a company that doesn't know what they're going to be in 18 months, which is what Square Enix is right now. Just to pull the curtain back a little bit, they're trying to figure out what they're going to be in 18 months from now. And they don't really know who all's going to be there in 18 months from now. Who all's going to be making whatever. And again, that's how it goes when these companies are restructuring and doing business. But the thing is, I want to focus on the people who are going out of their way to make things feel special. This whole show, the Game Awards the other night, and the things that were leading up to it from these big companies, I am now convinced more than ever that Capcom is really fan-focused. Now, they might do some things that individual fans may disagree with, but this looks like a company that is really getting a focus on their fans again. And there are other companies too. Just look no further than the indies that are out there trying to make cool stuff for fans. And I think Square wants to get to that point. I don't think they can be at that point right now. I don't think they can physically be there right now because they've got so much house cleaning to do. And when they get that sorted out, and when they get there and they start putting their stuff out, we will be there for them. But right now they're just not. Blue fire in the sky. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. The thing is, when Square Enix wants to make epic stories and stuff like that, I get it. And I don't want to talk in circles on this. I don't. I want to get to the points I want to hit. But Square Enix has a lot of work to do. They've got a lot of work in front of them. And fans, including myself, I gave them a lot more grace than what they were ready to receive. Because, I thought they had their ducks in a row a little bit more. I still think Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is coming out February to April 2027. I still think that's the case. Everything else, though, for you Kingdom Hearts fans, for me wanting a Chrono Trigger game, for anybody else wanting anything else, you might want to pump the brakes. You might want to lower your expectations a bit. Or check them. Stow them, put them in the drawer for now, get them out later, recheck your notes. Because I think that's just where we're at with that company right now. I really do. And I don't think there is a world right now where they're ready to really show out. I think it'll be here, but I think we're about 18 months from them showing just a bunch of stuff. Whatever. I don't give a fuck if Max Dude thinks it looks cheap. It looks like Mega Man. I don't give a fuck. And plus, we know he's in the studio there. He was in that commercial. He was in that Capcom commercial. I mean, whatever. I don't care what another person thinks. I don't care if you're a millionaire, like, content creator, like fishing around in other fandoms for new fans. I'll tell you like it is. I think Mega Man looks like a fun Mega Man game so far. I'm just excited we're getting a new Mega Man game. That game is far off. And I don't know what he said. You know more. You follow his content, so you can tell me exactly what he says since you're a loyal follower of his. I don't know. I know you post his videos in my Discord and stuff a lot. That's fine. I don't watch his stuff. So tell me what he said, because that game's not coming out until 2027. They're going to take their time. They're going to make it awesome. I have no doubts. To come out and just... That was a special announcement for the fans. To come out and be like, it looks cheap. What? That's something an asshole would say. They made a special announcement for the fans. They wanted people to know it was coming. We're going to make this a core... They made the statement a week ago. Hey, we want to bring Mega Man back as a core IP for Capcom. Cap God, who is like knocking everything out of the park right now. So, but I've seen a lot of people making... I'm surprised he would make a crummy comment like that. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised he would make a crummy. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm sure you're reporting what he said, but that's surprising coming from him to make such a crummy, early, backhanded comment. Yeah, Adam, exactly. Yeah, they just wanted to make something fun for the fans. And it was. It was like one of the biggest reveal announcements they've ever done at the Game Awards, just based on the views that those reaction videos and stuff are getting right now. Capcom had a presence. They brought it. They brought it. Well, that's fine. I'm not gonna make it a let's talk about somebody else's stuff stream. I don't know what he said. I don't know what he said. But I mean, if he did say that, he's savvy in the industry. He's connected in the industry. He helps get things done in the industry. So if he's coming out and making comments about a game that's in the early stages of development, that's still a good year and a half, 2 years away, that's a crummy comment. That's a crummy comment. He should know better. As everyone's grandma would tell them, that man should know better. He should know better. And he should know better. No, I know who he is. But yeah, so with the Mega Man stuff, I thought that was a wonderful little moment. And the way Jeff Keighley queued that up. Now let's talk about the other stuff we saw from the industry. There are a lot of companies that are really starting to kind of get in a positive mojo. And I'm really excited because the vibe I got from all the companies that displayed there, whether they were a big company or a small company or anything like that, it seems like the game industry is just ready to just make fun games and have fun again. That's the vibe I got. That the big vibe I took away from the show was like the industry's ready to just have some fun again. The industry's ready to make this stuff fun for all of us again. And that is what got me so excited. I put a comment in my Discord. I said, you know, I'm on fire for like the gaming industry again. I feel like just I'm about to be on fire for this stuff again, because it doesn't seem like companies are trying to outdo each other anymore. They're not trying to out art each other anymore. They're not trying to outthink each other anymore. Who's got the next big IP? Who's got this? It felt to me like they were like, let's just have some fun. And again, you can call it the Claire Obscure effect, because Claire Obscure, what did they do? Sandfall Interactive made a game in a system that everybody said was outdated. Nobody wanted to play those games anymore. We're not going to do those games anymore. Sandfall Interactive said, really? To the tune of, what was it, 9 awards? You don't want to do these games anymore? Okay, well, let us show you what you should be doing, and then you can thank us later when you're making these games again. That's what Sandfall Interactive did. That was amazing, watching them win all those awards. And the director of the game, knowing that they were getting Game of the Year. He was like, we're getting Game of the Year. I'm not going to talk until we get Game of the Year. And that's how it went down. He didn't talk until they went up to get Game. He went up with people, but he didn't talk until they got Game of the Year. So it was wild. It was wild. There were some great announcements. The stuff with Leon and Resident Evil 6 looks really cool. We knew Leon was coming. That was controlled leak from Capcom. Again, though, fun. Fun stuff. And I just love the energy that's out there for gaming right now. I've seen a lot of Game Awards come and go where the energy after the event and toward the gaming industry is like, we'll just say it's not exactly warm, But I'm seeing nothing but love, nothing but warm vibes and good energy about the gaming industry right now and the people making games and stuff. And The other thing about Square I want to say is like, and Konami, Silent Hill F was nominated for stuff, but Konami really didn't have a presence there. To be the one not at the party the other night, you gotta be feeling like crap. Like, you gotta be feeling like, oh man, we really missed an opportunity. I would wonder if they felt those companies that weren't there showing stuff or whatever felt like the one that didn't get invited to the party. You know, that's not a fun place to be. And I just wonder, you know, well, what's going on over there. But anyway, never heard of Mega Man. All right, moving on. What are your thoughts on the game they announced just before the GOTY Award? Master Roshi, I commented on that. I was like, I respect that they're trying to give them that big spot right there, but if I were making that game, I would not desire to be in that big spot, just because that's a spot for a big game. And like, if that felt out of place, you could have put that at the top of the 10 o'clock hour or at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Would have been a perfect spot for that game to showcase it and everything. But now, I mean, if that game comes out and it's not awesome or whatever, or people will just see that game, it's like, oh, this is that game that ended the game award. I don't know. It just felt like an odd energy to put on that. And it just looked like any other, like, it looked like any other game like that, except for mythical mounts, and then you jump off of them, and it's a shooting game again. You know, it just didn't feel very special to me to garner that kind of spot. But I don't know. Maybe they didn't have anything else they felt like they should go in that spot. Star Wars looks like a PS6. Yeah, that Star Wars game looks like it's a good ways away. The fate of the Old Republic. That looks like it's a ways off. Yeah, Secundus, and that's a great point. I love that the director gave a shout out to Hironobu Sakaguchi. I thought that was a special moment, and you could tell that was something that he had rehearsed in his head. If I ever get this moment to do this, I'm going to thank Sakaguchi. You could tell he's dreamt of that for a long time. And to finally have that spot to do that, I would love to know what Sakaguchi thought of that. He was probably very touched by that. Of course, Sakaguchi's the guy. We've all heard the Nobuo Uematsu story, where he thought about leaving Square when Sakaguchi left, because he was like, he's the boss. You know, he's the guy that makes things run around here. And it kind of looks that way. If I gotta call a spade, you know. I've had that conversation with people in the past, some big YouTubers I've had conversations with about, you know, is Square Enix ever going to be the same since Sakaguchi's not there? You know, it's a real conversation that's had, and I think the jury's still kind of out right now. I don't know if Fate of the Old Republic would have been good in that spot either. I don't know what would have been good in that spot. That's the thing for me. I think we all have like a personal bias about what we would put there. But to be honest, I'm not sure if anything shown at this awards show. Maybe the Resident Evil Leon stuff. Let's see what else. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of pick something. I think they picked what they wanted to put there for whatever reason they wanted to put it there, and I think that's what they ran with. But I don't know. It just looks like every other game in that one. Gaijin. What's up, Gaijin? I know, yeah. They're dragging their feet. The Star Wars Pod Racer does look good. I'm not going to lie. That looks like a lot of fun. And I'm really interested to see kind of what all kind of like stuff like guest racers and stuff they might have in that. That could get really interesting really quick. Did I have any theories for Leon on Resident Evil 9? Not really. I think it's going to be kind of a straightforward story. I think some things they could play with is Helena like being dead. They could play around with that. They could, with Leon, the stuff looks kind of very straightforward, if I'm being honest. But there will be some kind of backstory going on there with him, and it won't be all cut and dry, I'm sure. I think they did confirm that you're going to kind of move back and forth between Leon and Ashley at different points of the game. So they've got that going on. I don't think it's going to be a scenario A, scenario B situation like I've seen a lot of people talking about. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think you will go back and forth. I think Grace, of course, is going to be your noob type character, and then Leon's going to be like what they showed in that trailer. He's going to be kicking ass, taking names, grabbing chainsaws from. Ugh, let me try to talk again. I have not gotten any sleep the past 4 or 5 days, so my speech is a little wonky. But grabbing chainsaws from people and using them on them. That's what I was trying to say. That's what my mouth was trying to create words for. Yeah, that's a great point. But before Alan Wake did it, Resident Evil Revelations did it. Revelations 2 specifically. I think it's going to be more like Revelations 2 than Alan Wake 2. I think it'll be kind of more in that vein. But, video games have classically done back and forth character scenarios. Resident Evil 0, you can take it back further than that. Of course, they had that weird item borrowing system, but Resident Evil 0 would do it. You got to a part in a story with this person, then you change and go to this person and go back and forth. So it's a classic gaming concept, one that is not new to Resident Evil. So to see them going back to that and digging into that a little bit would be interesting. Yeah, Tomb Raider. Thank you for bringing that up, Secundus. It's a little further down on my list here of things to hit, but we'll go ahead and talk about Tomb Raider real quick. This goes back to the game industry just saying, "Hey, let's make our games fun again. Let's go back to a time when games were fun. Let's start using those formulas we had back then to really breathe new life into the industry." The whole night was kind of a love letter to gaming, and kind of what I've said before. It's the Game Awards every year. Their goal with the show is to make it a celebration of the year that was and looking forward to the year to come. That's what they do a lot of times with the Game Awards, and they really nailed that this year. The stuff with Tomb Raider, they did the best possible scenario to please all Tomb Raider fans, really. It's like, hey, look, we're going to bring Tomb Raider back to its former glory by remaking the first game. Then you got the people like, oh, these remakes, I want new games, I want new stuff, new IPs, all to hell with all these remakes. We got you. A year later, we got the new game coming out. So we're remaking Tomb Raider 1. That's coming out next year. And then the year after that, you're going to have a new Tomb Raider game. Here's a look at both. So they kind of cornered it in the best possible way you could corner it. So I thought that was really well done. I think Jeff Stadium is piggy. I don't know. There's definitely some tension there. Yeah, I like the moxie that they went in and said, "Hey, we're doing 2 games. We're hitting you with 2 games, all right." And what I was trying to think, who has Hitman? Does Square doesn't have Hitman anymore. Did it go with Crystal Dynamics? Who's got Hitman now? I'm just thinking about all the possible games we could see over the next couple of years coming out. And they don't have to wait for the awards shows. They can be popping up at State of Play. They could be popping up at their own individual, like Capcom Presents, Square Enix Presents, stuff like that. They could be popping up with their own individual stuff. At this point, sky's the limit. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. And that's the beauty about where we're at right now. And I'm really excited to see what they do. IO Interactive. Okay. All right. So what are the odds if by the end of 2026 we see Capcom start talking about Devil May Cry 1 remake? That's the one I'm waiting on. And then you Dino Crisis fans are going to get some Dino Crisis love. Capcom knows what's up. They've got their finger on the pulse. They know what's up. I'm really excited to see what their next 18 months looks like. What they start releasing and talking about in their next... It's not just about their Resident Evil remakes anymore. And it's not even about their remakes in general. They have made it known their initiative is to revisit their classic titles, make them core IPs for them again. Which means they're going to start developing new games for those franchises, not just remakes. Like, they're going to start developing new games for those franchises. And really the only games they've been remaking are Resident Evil. They've been remastering and re-releasing other games, but the remakes have been pretty much confined to Resident Evil. This dual override for Mega Man, I'm not completely unconvinced that it's not a remake of a Mega Man game. I am not out on that. Now, do I think it is? No, not really. But could it be? Yeah. I mean, there's some Easter eggs in there. There's some Easter eggs in some of the backgrounds suggesting that some former robots from some of the other games are going to be around. So I think that could be interesting to keep a tab on that. But what do you all think? I mean, I don't think I'm just living in the moment of this. I've really been giving it a couple of days of serious thought. One of my biggest, I won't even say gripes, but one of my biggest hang-ups on the gaming industry lately is I feel like everybody's trying to chase a new trend, chase the latest trend, chase the latest kind of cool game. We saw it when Fortnite or PUBG hit, and then Fortnite hit right after it, and everybody was chasing their different kind of like Coliseum Battle Royale game. Everybody was chasing that, and everybody was chasing this. And, you know, I think some of these indie games, and I'm not just talking about Claire Obscure, I'm talking about all these indie games that get nominated for awards and stuff every year. I think it's opened up the big publishers' eyes. And they've realized they've got all these IPs. They don't have to remake these old IPs. They can make new games within these intellectual properties. They don't have to be remakes and stuff. You can get wild. You can make sequels. You can make Chrono Break, or I think that's a stupid name, but like you could make a new Chrono series game. You could do Strider 3. You could do, you could revisit anything you want in your library. Except for Capcom's Disney stuff. I don't think they can revisit that just because of licensing stuff. But a new in-depth Hitman. There are a lot of these IPs that lend themselves to open world games. And that's the other point too, and that's the one I talk about a lot here on the channel is the time it takes to make these games and the money it takes to make them. These companies, they're having daily brainstorming think tank sessions discussing how best to move forward with their company, their bottom line, to keep making games, to stay open. Studio Gainax, which is an anime company, many of you all may not know this, but after 42 years, it declared bankruptcy. Gainax made some of the coolest anime of all time. They made Gurren Lagann. They had a hand in other anime. They made Neon Genesis Evangelion back in the day, and all the subsequent releases for Ava, I believe. They went under because production costs got too expensive. Smaller companies were outbidding them for animation jobs. I mean, and mismanagement of money and stuff, of course, mismanagement of their business, but they went under. We've seen other gaming studios just go under in the last 5 to 10 years. Get sold off, be broken down into pieces and sold off. People get laid off. Companies are trying to figure out how to stop doing that. Everything can't be an interactive movie. It just can't. Like Final Fantasy 16 was a nice, kind of ambitious game, but at the end of the day, it failed. And it had, at the time, Square Enix's best minds and best creators on it, helping out in some way. It was a studio-wide effort on Final Fantasy 16. It was the next mainline Final Fantasy. And it failed. Final Fantasy VII Remake Saga, by their financial standards, not mine or yours, but their financial standards, they've dubbed it kind of a failure in some regards. So financially, I think they're trying to figure things out. I saw it reported that to get your game shown at the Game Awards was upwards to $1.5 million. I don't think it was that much. I think it was a decent little sum, but I don't think it was that much. I really hope they're figuring out this whole pipeline thing, because I don't know if Square Enix can take another 2 years. They can withstand another 2 years of just mediocre releases and marching things out when they get around to it. I think they need more hardcore deadlines there. $1 million for 3 minutes. That's probably not far from accurate, depending on the title. I don't think they were. I think that would probably be like a AAA company. I don't think they're charging indie developers $1 million for 3 minutes, unless they're generating some beyond indie revenue. We'll put it that way. I'll tell you what, they know how to put on a presentation, how to make something feel big when they want it to feel big. I love the way the stage looked too. Like when they would do those back out shots of the whole stage when something was showing, and it was like IMAX, and it was like all the way around to the sides of the entrances and the exits and all the way up onto the floor. That was beautiful. That was pretty intense. But I'm going to take a quick little break and grab me another drink. I'll be right back. Try to keep my eyes open. It's been a long couple of days. I am tired. But here, I am currently in the position of trying to figure out what I'm going to do like a new layout for my streams and content, and trying to get back to just video being straight ahead of me, looking directly at the camera, that kind of stuff. While I'm talking to you right now, just like this, not looking away like this, looking at screens. So I'm trying to figure out my new format and layout, and I've got some new equipment coming and some new things that are going to help with that. So stay tuned on that. But MGS4, there were parts of Metal Gear Solid 4 I liked. For the most part, I don't know. I didn't like Old Snake. I hated having to play with old dying Snake, but I know the theme of the game, so it makes sense within the confines of what he was the story he was telling. But I was really surprised that Death Stranding, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't gone and looked at who won what and everything. I have a vague knowledge, but I don't think Death Stranding won anything. Death Stranding 2, I don't think it won anything, which is wild. But it was in categories with everything that Clear Obscure was nominated for, except for Player's Voice, where Hater's Voice, where all the contrarians in the gaming industry, or the gaming community, which the gaming community I'm starting to think is built on the backs of contrarians. It was like, oh, like hipsters. They're just like, oh, that thing's super popular. We can't like it. We can't enjoy that. Like, I feel like a lot of those people just like voted for that game or voted against that game. Yeah, I've heard Death Stranding 2 is very good, but it's Death Stranding 1. Like, it's a new story within Death Stranding 1. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Almost like it's a DLC. Yep, I agree. But when I say it's surprising it didn't win anything, I'm not saying it should have gotten because Keely's friends with Kojima. That's not what I'm saying that. I'm saying because it was really, like Death Stranding was, it was really an achievement. It was really, Death Stranding 1 was a great game. And Death Stranding 2, I haven't had a chance to really be into it too much, but like, looks like another phenomenal achievement. But yeah, I guess that's a great way to put it, is that it's basically just a continuation of the same game, Death Stranding. I don't think we have to dig that deep into it, Chris. I don't think we got to dig that deep into it. I think it was just a bunch of contrarians that were like, oh man, I don't like Clear Obscure. I don't want it to win. I'm just going to vote for this other thing. The thing I liked about Death Stranding 1 is I felt like it was very beautiful. Like it was just like taking a walk out like in your area, like going out for a walk, you know? And I felt on some kind of meta level, that's what Kojima was trying to do, was like say, go out, go for a walk, go to the park, go talk to people, go connect with some people. Like, I think that's what the message he was trying to convey, what he thought that was important. That's what he thought was important to him at the time. And the message he wanted to put through in his game was to go out into the world, go for a walk, go walk in nature, get into some trouble, you know, go connect with people. That really felt like that's what he was trying to say with his game. And then they did a second game like that. MGS1 is like probably my favorite Metal Gear Solid game. People loved Snake Eater, but it's like, it's definitely not my favorite Metal Gear Solid game. Definitely not my favorite. Yeah, it did. Really great music. You know, there was a part of me when um when the Mega Man thing was happening the other night, and they were going down the corridor with the things, the the hallway or whatever. There was a part of me for like a split second that thought it was Chrono Trigger. There was a part of me for a split second that thought that it was Chrono Trigger. Like, you know, getting like loading up the Epoch for a trip out into the ether. Like for like a split second, I was frozen. I was like, is this it? But yeah, for a moment, I was like, is it Chrono Trigger? What? Nah, because I mean, it added up. You know, Square Enix hadn't been there to that point. They hadn't shown anything, and this was coming from a big studio. It was a classic game that needed to come back, and yeah, that's what I thought. I never finished the Phantom Pain. I never finished it. I always had good intentions, but I never finished it. I should try to load that up soon. Yeah, I think I was hoping for a Mega Man X remake, like a remake of the first Mega Man X. But I was looking through my games over here. I didn't think I had X7 or X8, but I do. And because I forgot they were on PS2, I forgot Mega Man X7 was on PS2. So I thought I didn't have it, but I do. And I was like, oh my god. And even I have to look because do I have? I'm not sure. I don't think I have Mega Man 8. I forget what I've got up here. I don't think I have Mega Man 8 on PlayStation 1. Hang on, I gotta look at that. Oh, I do. Okay. I was gonna say, oh my god, I didn't think I had Mega Man 8. I was like, surely to God I've got Mega Man 8. So, but no, yeah, I've got. I love these old PlayStation cases too. They're so, it feels so good. Like I got Mega Man 8, Mega Man X4, X5, X6. I just love holding these old cases. It's like, like a real game in my hand. I love that feeling. I don't like that we live in this digital age where everything's in the cloud. I like having something I can hold. I own it, you know? And I can break out my PlayStation. They can't, my PS1. They can't like brick that with the internet, you know? It can't even get on the internet. I can hook up to my TV and just play it. Yeah, MGS2, the whole thing with AI was crazy. I mean, AI was a thing since the 90s, but like, you know, the whole way that Kojima thought about that at the time and how that like the system was the villain, you know, and that Snake knew, you know, and Raiden didn't. He was playing along with it. That was so crazy. And Otacon and Snake were like a like this sleeper cell unit, like working against the system. It was so good, man. Was I into any of the Deus Ex games? Right? Nah, I never got into them. Not because I didn't like them or didn't want to play them. I had so many other things I was playing at the time when those were coming out around, what was that, like 2000 to 2004, when the Deus Ex games were kind of in their new release heyday, I think. Yeah, I was playing other stuff at that time. I couldn't get into them. Yeah, like, I just, like, I don't know. Like, after the Game Awards the other night, I had a moment uh, where I got home late last night from work. I did a double. I opened to close at work, and it was rough. I did a double today, but I didn't have to close tonight. But I got home last night. I came here for a little chill time to myself. No stream, no nothing. Just came here to chill. I didn't even work last night. I didn't work on ARAURA or anything like that. I just came and chilled. I did a little chill gaming. And I went and looked over here at all these wonderful, classic, physical copies of games that I have. I was like, man, I'm really lucky. I'm really fortunate to have lived in this era represented by my shelves back here. Because not only was it the era that built the gaming industry, built gaming and made these rock star game designers and stuff like that, it's almost like an old music head going through their record collection, That's how I feel when I look at these games. And I pulled them out. And I broke out a couple of the manuals. And I just start looking through, like, the art, the books, and everything. And I was like, man, I wish there was some way we could get back to this, Like putting out physical games that you can tangibly hold. But, if we don't, we don't. It makes me even more fortunate that I got to live through that era. But I was looking at all these games up here, and I was like, man, there's so many wonderful games out there that, I just love this industry, man. I do. I just love this industry. I love the artistry of it. I love, we nitpick decisions and stuff a lot of times and kind of get lost in that whole circling the drain conversation, because conversations like that really, a lot of times they just find themselves circling the drain, but at the end of the day, I was looking at this and I was thinking back to my memories on that stuff. I was like, man, I just love this fucking industry so much. I love the artistry, the imagination, how it takes all of the people it would take to make a movie, and then you have to bring in game designers and everything else, like coders and everybody else, all these other people, like everyone it would take to make a movie, even like film people, like people that know stunts, props, everything you can imagine to make a movie. And then you got to bring in all these code monkeys and gaming directors who know both worlds to make this thing really happen these days. And it's just, and even back then, you kind of had to do that to an extent. It's just such an amazing industry, and it's something that I love, just kind of being on the outside looking in on. I'm not in the industry. I'm not a part of that industry. I'm not anything like that. I'm just a fan of that industry, and I just make my observations. But it really is a blessing. Like, the gaming is a blessing. It really is. What an escape. It's the greatest escape that's ever been created in history, in my opinion. I would say books are number 2. Now, I'm not saying games are better than books. I'm not saying that. But as far as, like, you being in the world and controlling the outcome of a story and being a tangible part of that story to the point of leveling your guy up and going and fighting and unlocking other little bits of a story, it's just amazing, man. It's a miracle. They're video games are little miracles every time they even get made. And I just want to start giving more appreciation to the ones that do get made, to the artists and the creators and everybody who are able to bring their visions to life and make things happen on the level that they do. Because with budgets and other things locking people down and chaining down, like, creators from the boardroom, the decisions made in the boardroom shackling the creators that are boots on the ground, it it really is a miracle anything ever gets made. It really is. And hearing some of the horror stories I've heard from big name, like not big name developers, but developers who have worked with big studios that I know personally, they have told me horror stories over a few beers that are just mind-boggling, and it really makes you think, yo, it's a miracle anything gets made. And what does get made is nothing short of a miracle. Oh, Silent Hill F, yeah, that was on Black Friday. There was a lot. Silent Hill 2 was on Black Friday, I think. I saw at Walmart. We were born in the best era. That's right, Orly. Yeah, GameStop midnight releases were special, dude. Awesome time. What's up, Darth Magus? Hey, what's up, Marius? Salutations. Coming all the way from Norway. What time is it in Norway? I'm curious. I guess I could Google it, but I'd rather ask you. Gaming has been such a blessing for me as well. When I was depressed after a bad breakup, one of my best friends got me Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition. Was one of the best birthday gifts ever. That's awesome, man. It took you on a journey long enough for you to kind of be picked up a little bit. That's good. Yeah, I've got so many stories about being in a bad place in life and just playing the right game at the right time. And you know, I'll share with you all tonight. It's time. It's time. I'm going to share this story with you all. I guess I was never really going to share this story publicly. But I think it's time. I think it's time. I wish I had a better internet connection for this. But I'm going to go ahead and share it. So, I would say it was probably, well, not probably, it was like 2010. I had just turned 30. And I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I knew what I wanted to do with my life. But I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know, the connections I would need to make it happen, all this other kind of stuff. And I was kind of in a rut. I was in a really bad rut. I was waiting tables all the time, living from shift to shift, blowing my money, not knowing what I was doing, not being smart with my money, just paying bills, whatever was left over. I was, not partying like you would think partying, but just going out and blowing my money and stuff, and didn't have any direction. I had decent people around me. I had a couple of really good friends around me, but I've always been the type of guy who, and even more so back then, times 3 what I am now. But I was always the kind of guy who I was the person people could come to feel better, but I didn't have that person for me necessarily. I had people that were good friends and close and stuff like that, but I didn't, I went out of my way to pull people in and make sure they were okay and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I was in a really bad point in my life. I was at kind of rock bottom. I wasn't into drugs or anything like that, but I was just so depressed. I was really suffering from depression really bad. And I had just turned 30. And my roommate, great guy, we're great friends to this day. And, he would have done anything for me. I didn't reach out. I didn't tell anybody how bad off I was. I was bad, And I remember I just got off work. I got cut first. I wasn't closing, but a couple of my friends were like, hey, we should go out tonight and everything. And I was like, I was so down. I was like, tonight's the night. I'm going to get so hammered and I'm going to get so effed up that I don't know if I want to wake up in the morning. Like, I don't know if I wanted to. Like, that at the time, I was like, I don't know if I want to wake up in the morning. That's how bad I was. I said, before I go, it had been about, I don't know, 9 months since I last played Final Fantasy VII. It'd been a while, maybe even a year. I can't remember exactly what the timeline was, but I was like, I'm going to play Final Fantasy VII one more time. Then I'm going to go out. I'm going to get so hammered. I don't know if I'm going to wake up in the morning. I popped in Final Fantasy. I was like, where did I save last? I saved right at the point where Cloud is entering the live stream and putting himself back together. That was where I was. I sat there for 3 hours and took every bit of that in and played it. And I'm kind of starting to get a little choked up talking about it right now. But yeah. I sat there, played through that, and went, huh. I looked up, it was 2 in the morning. But by the time I got done with everything and got everything done, and my buddy said I missed calls, I was like, I'm not going to come out tonight, guys. I'm not going to come out tonight. I sat there. I thought about my life. I thought about what I want to do. This is before I was doing YouTube or anything like that. And I was just kind of like, what the F am I doing? What the F am I doing? You know? And it really made me it gave me the time to talk myself out of a bad decision. And I don't know for certainty, because you never know what's going to happen if you do certain things or whatever, but, you know, there's a good chance that game saved my life that night. And I really got from, it was really the next day, I started to kind of climb myself out of my depression. I had gained so much weight. I went from being like trying to go into bodybuilding. Like I was like jacked, you know. I went from that. I went from like a lean, mean, 225 pounds of just muscle, you know, to 300 and almost 20 pounds and just overweight, unhealthy. I think that was when I developed type 2 diabetes at that point, because I was just so depressed. All I did was sit around and eat. I didn't want to go to work and all that. That next day, I went to the gym. I started getting back into the swing of things. I started trying to get myself healthy, mentally and physically. And it all... So you all have heard me say many times on this channel that for me personally, Cloud's redemption in the live stream is like personally one of the most significant things to me. And for me, one of the most important moment in a video game ever written. There was some personal bias there because of my own experience that I wanted to share with you all for a while now. There was never the right time, but not that I was guarded about it, but you know, I wanted to be natural in the conversation. Kind of was tonight, but you know, I mean, that is a special moment, and that moment changed the trajectory of my life. You know, because I feel like it had direct meaning to me and what I was going through at that point in my life. And physically, IRL, in real life, it gave me the time to make a better decision. It took me out. It took me out of the equation of making decisions for my life for a moment, because I needed a hot tag, right? I needed a hot tag. I needed somebody to come in, something to come in and to help, because I was reeling. I was reaching for the corner to make the tag. I kept kicking my leg pulled back like in the old tag team wrestling matches. You know what I mean? Someone got the hot tag and came in and started like pumping up and going. That's what I needed, and that's what that was for me in my life at that point. And I've never looked back, man. I've never looked back. And I feel like that's why I also kind of got like a late start on all this stuff that I'm trying to do now in my mid 40s, because I should have been doing these things while I was struggling with all this depression back then. And it's taken 15 years of my life to recover, to get myself good, you know, because all that time, not wasted, but fighting, you know. I don't feel like I'm fighting anymore. I feel like I'm thriving. I'm on the offensive. I'm not on the defensive. I'm not taking the punches and covering up. I'm coming out swinging. That's the difference now. And if it wasn't for that point in Final Fantasy VII, I would not have gotten there. I would have not gotten to that realization. And that was important for me. So, yeah. So, a little peek behind the curtain there for you all. That's why that game will always be the greatest game ever made to me, because it literally helped save my life. And I don't know, everybody's got a story out there. Hardcore gamers have a story similar to a game that's near and dear to them, but that's mine. That's why I always defend it. That's how we get stuck in the minutia of little nitpicks and things and that about remakes and this and that and everything. And I can kind of let it roll off my back, because I'm like, well, the original game will always be there, and my experience with it will always be there too. I don't necessarily need to throw shade at things like that, because I'll be forever grateful for what video games allowed me, getting me out of that bad spot, and also inspiring me, you know. Even when I was going through those bouts with depression and stuff like that, I was still being inspired. I was still writing and drawing almost every day, you know. But yeah, it was that was a real time. That was some real ish, you know. So and I know all of you all have a situation or a story or something like that. Most of you do. A lot of you have reached out to me and kind of told me about it before, you know. But yeah, so yeah, Marius, yeah. And that kind of story, you know, I think at some point in everybody's life you have a turning point. Some people find it earlier than others. Some people find it later than others. Some people are in their 50s or 60s before they realize, you know, oh, this is not what I want my life to be, you know. Some people, fortunately enough, kind of know right from the jump what they need to do and how they need to go about it. But yeah, that's why, you know, well, when I'm working as hard as I do, and, you know, like, oh, why is he working so much? I'm making up for lost time. I'm trying to make ground, you know, and like I'm driven, and it's that drive to be better, to make things, to grab life, you know. It's that's kind of what video games have taught me, you know, the hero's journey, all that kind of stuff. Grab life, go after life, you know, go get it. I love living that way. I love living that way. That's how I live my life. If I see something I want to get, I go get it. I go full speed after it. And I don't let anybody tell me I can't do it. Now, I may not achieve that thing, but it won't be because I didn't try, you know. So, that's kind of the lesson I get from video games. Thank you all for the kind words. That just kind of came off. I didn't plan that tonight. That just kind of came off the cuff. It's kind of like everything I do, you know, just felt like the right moment. Just let it fly. Just wing it, you know. Yeah, Brandon, that's a good story, man. Yeah, it's stuff like that. Yeah, Marius, and reading through your comments here, thank you all for the kind words. You know how I always say to you all, whatever your favorite thing is, that's the best thing. Like, that's why I say that all the time. Because like we've all had so many different experiences that make us think different ways, and you know, I clown about Final Fantasy VIII a lot. There are things about Final Fantasy VIII that I like, but it's kind of more like when I'm bagging on Final Fantasy VIII, it's more kind of like an inside joke. It's like people expect me to do it, so I kind of do it sometimes. But my first playthrough of Final Fantasy VIII, I was totally into it until it just kind of personally lost me. But people tell me all the time, "What's my favorite because of this?" I'm like, "Well, then it's the best in your world, and that's fine, you know." That's why I say that though, is because I love the Grand Stream Saga, and I completely understand people who think it's trash. In my world, though, it's in my top five personally. You know, I mean, yeah, that's the beautiful thing about this world is that there's so many differing opinions, there's so many different takes, there's so many, and it's all because of where you were at a certain point when you experienced a certain thing. And that's why everybody is special. Everybody is different. You are special because you are different. I am special because I am different. We're all special because we've all got these different kind of patchwork qualities, you know? I tell people we all come into life as like a blank white sheet, you know? And throughout life, based on the people you meet and stuff like that, everybody puts their own little patch on you, you know, and the experiences put their own little patch on you, and things you've gone through, and triumphs and failures and victories and defeats. All these things put a little patch on you, and when we get to the end of the road, we're all vastly different patchwork quilts. Not one person in this chat, nor myself, are the same exact quilt. None of us, you know. And that's what makes building these communities so special. That's what makes gaming so special, because we are so different. That's why I can't do a lot of the Discord on like X and social media and stuff like that, because I don't know, people get so full of vitriol and everything. I'm like, that's not what it's about. This is not what it's about. You know, it's about us being wildly different, you know, and finding the cool things in that, you know, grabbing a new patch to put on your quilt, you know, because you know this wildly different person who has a different take or a different mindset or a different thought than you, or comes from a different background, or has a different viewpoint, or comes from the exact same background that you did, but they're wildly different than you are. It's like, why is that? That should be very interesting. That should be worth diving into. And a lot of times you'll find out that person's a gamer, you know. That's why I love this industry, and that's why I love this community of gamers. Some people need to get off their bullshit sometimes, though. That's a good story, Nelson. Yeah. Oh, Last Soldier, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Like, legit. Well, you got a spot here, man. We're not physically around each other and stuff like that, but anytime that bell goes off and I'm here streaming, y'all got a place to come chill, you know? And that's really what I try to create with this community at all times. It's like just giving people a place to chill. Giving people a place to come and just turn me on in the background and listen to my bullshit as I'm playing through a game, or getting something off my chest, or running some wild theory down or something like that, or giving my take on something, or talking marketing stuff, you know. And in today's day and age, everybody's doing their own marketing thing, so my marketing knowledge isn't really that valuable anymore. Because it seems like everybody's doing their own marketing thing and trying different things. But yeah, man, just giving people a place, a spot, you know, to kind of come and just park it for a little while. Yeah, Marius. Well, that's the thing, you know. Uh, you can be an introvert and care about people. You can not want to be around people but care about them. I'm writing a story about that right now, you know. Like, that's my main character in Aurora, basically. One of my two main characters. Cares about people. He just can't be around them. You know? That I wrote that from a very real place, you know? That aspect of him I put from me. That came from a very real place. That came from my like little down period there, you know? That came from a very real place. Thank you, Marius. I appreciate it. You know, when I share things like that are personal, I just want people to take something from it. You know, I want people to understand, you know, that, you know, I've had people tell me a lot. It's like, man, you seem like a guy that's got his shit together. You got a family, you know, you go get things, you get things done. I wasn't always that way. You know, I had to make myself become that way, you know. Exactly, Brandon. Yeah. I mean, we're all looking for that one type of thing that speaks to us so that we can escape into it regularly, you know? But video games as a whole, you know, in a roundabout way, that's why there was something about it that I really can't still explain. Maybe you all could explain it better than I could. But again, I'm going to go back to that Mega Man spot at the Game Awards. When the maestro cued the orchestra and they started playing music, and you're just going down this hallway, very standard, very PS3 looking hallway, nothing special about it. But the whole thing that was happening in front of me felt like special. It didn't feel like, oh, here's a big announcement. It felt special. Like big announcements, you get big announcements all the time. You get big press releases all the time. You don't get special all the time. That felt special. It wasn't an earth-shattering announcement. Even what they showed wasn't earth-shattering. Apparently Max Dude said it looked very cheap. Whatever. It wasn't earth-shattering. It was early footage, whatever. But the whole thing, the whole circumstance felt like it was very special. And that was special to me. And it was special to a lot of other people on YouTube as well, apparently. So, but yeah, like, different strokes for different folks, man. You know, it's what they say. And whatever you find special, whatever moves you, whatever makes you feel special, gaming's got something for everybody. And you could say movies and TV shows to an extent too, but no other entertainment medium do you feel like you're a part of that breathing world. You're a part of that breathing world that story is taking place in. And the great thing about gaming is that everybody can find that spot. You like noir, you like gangster films, you like high fantasy, you like sports, you want to be the quarterback, you want to be the point guard, you want to go one-on-one against Michael Jordan in the finals. I mean, with your Creator character, I mean, you can do whatever you want to escape. And whatever one person's escape is, it's not everybody's escape, whatever, then that's your thing. And that's fine. And that's also special. Because you're special. You're different. We're all different, you know? And it's really like, I don't know. There's nothing like gaming. There's nothing like it. I guess that's all I'm going to say. So... Well, that's awesome, Zach. And see, that's the thing, though. You went to school for game design. That doesn't mean that door's closed. It just means that's not the chapter you're in right now. You know? I went to school for graphic design and marketing and media and arts and stuff like that when I was 24. And now here in my mid-40s, I'm just now discovering how to use those skills I learned in college to help me grow my platforms and stuff. I didn't realize 20 years ago that was why I was learning that. But 20 years later, I was like, oh, This is why life armed me with that knowledge. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. I've saved myself I save myself about $10,000 a year just because I know how to market myself. And again, in 10 years from now, you may be designing a video game. You don't know. I mean, you never know where life's going to take you, man. Yeah, the stuff with Leon popping out at the trailer was really cool. I'm intrigued if there's going to be car chase scenes in it. I think that's just part of the scene of him getting there. But I'm also curious now, are we still going to get like exploration of Raccoon City? What part of the game is that? You know? And because the whole thing with Grace is, you know, her. And okay, so here's the other thing. Since we're moving on to Resident Evil 9 here. What's up, Beck? How we doing? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, you're going to do Jugrim Hashvalth and Basby? I got to see that. You got to post that. I got to see that. Bleach is my jam, dude. I can't wait for the final part of the 1,000-Year Blood War to drop. I can't wait to see how they expand the final battle with Yuha, Ichigo, and Aizen. Can't wait, man. But there was a point up here I was making and I got off balance or whatever. Oh, Resident Evil 9. Yeah, the stuff they showed with Leon for Resident Evil 9, that was pop worthy. But another reason I think this might take place in two different times is because it seems like the in Raccoon City stuff might take place at a different time. And if that's not the case, then maybe, just maybe, we're actually not going to explore much of Raccoon City. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I hope it's not, because I really want to explore Raccoon City, the destruction of Raccoon City. But I don't know now. I don't know. That trailer, what they showed at the Game Awards, did a great job of putting me back in the space that I said I wanted to be in with Resident Evil 9, where I've got more questions than supposed answers. Like, I don't even know where to begin speculating on things based on what I saw. Because Raccoon City is it's uninhabitable. You can't live there. But we saw Leon driving a car through an inhabited area, Grace investigating an inhabited area, that hospital, that mansion or whatever that guy lives in, that Leon pulls up to in the car, is in an inhabitable area. So I'm like I don't even know where to begin speculating at this point, which is a wonderful place to be. Like, I don't want to know. I don't want to be able to guess it right. You know what I mean? Because that's no fun for me. I want them to throw me for a loop. And I feel like that's where I'm at again with it. You all might not be, but I feel like that's where I'm at again with it. So, yeah, but I said if Expedition 33 lost a category, it would be sound design, because you had all those big, like Battlefield 6, all those other games coming out. I don't remember what won sound design, but I figured it would be one of those like tactical games or something, because that is so completely dependent on sound design. I don't see how those games don't win them every year. Recovering well, Beck. Recovering very well. Gladius is good, dude. Gladius is very good. No, they're both at the same time because there's a shot of. So I don't know if anybody or I'm sure a lot of people put this together, but I don't know if you all realize this or not. You know, at the end of the Resident Evil 9 demo, when the creature grabs Grace and pulls her into the shadows, you don't really know what to make of it. But the trailer at Game Awards went out of its way to show you that right at that moment is when Leon shoots the creature. And she lets Grace get, and Grace runs to be next to Leon. Like, that's the very next thing that happens is he shoots her. So I guess when Grace is going through her horror show with her mom, not mom, chasing her around or whatever, I think Leon is investigating, has just pulled up and is investigating, looking around in there. I would guess that's probably what's happening there. I don't know the name Victor Gideon from anything. So everybody was wrong. Because I didn't see anybody say, oh, it's Victor Gideon. Which again, that's great. Oh, well, you know more about that than I do, Zach. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that detail. I've only watched it a couple of times. I hope we do explore it because that's been one of the big things for me. Is like one of the big things I'm looking forward to is actually exploring uh, the wastes of Raccoon City. That's one of the things I've been really hoping for. One of the other things I'm going to be doing here on the channel too is, like I kind of mentioned it earlier, is I'm going to be upgrading the video quality here on the channel. I'm trying to find new ways to affect more like lighting and getting just better lit, get everything better lit in here, and just trying to make a better effort as far as that stuff goes because I'm really ready to level up the channel and get more things going and more things popping and just better production all around. So if you all have ever have any ideas on like or suggestions on things you'd like to see me do or whatever, drop them in a comment or something like that. I see all the comments, so I might put a little posts up every now and then too. You all can throw some stuff in there, but yeah, any time on Discord or whatever. Hey, I'd like to see you talk about this. Hey, maybe we should talk about this. Hey, what about this segment? You know, let me know. I'll be doing a lot more stuff. I've had a few videos I've been trying to get finished over the past few weeks, but just the ramp up for the Game Awards and the studio stuff, working and full-time job, family stuff, everything. I just haven't been able to finish them. But I'm really putting the pedal down over the next day and a half to 2 days, and next week I'm going to be releasing all that content. So, and then new stuff coming after that. So I know Ray said that before. Yeah, well, I've been working on it the whole time. Just can't get it done. I'm just gonna get it to a stopping point and just post it and be like, here's all that stuff. Here's all that stuff. And that's all that stuff is dropping this week. And I was like, here's all that stuff I was talking about. Here it is. Now new stuff is happening. Resident Evil 3 Remake, that was a big miss. That was not Cap God. That was Capcom in all lowercase. What did Victor call that in the trailer? Elpis. I think that's the name of the new virus, is Elpis. That's how I understood it. if you all got it a different way, let me know. We'll discuss it. But I think the new virus is called Elpis. That what that Victor Gideon guy is working on at that hospital. That's why I think. And did Capion? Did anybody else get Silent Hill vibes in that Resident Evil 9 trailer? I got some heavy Silent Hill vibes. Like, just where it's like in a hospital. And like, the thing that was creepy in the first Silent Hill for me is how some of the most sterile areas felt like the most dangerous. Like, some of the most unassuming areas felt like the most dangerous. And I think Resident Evil is trying to carry that in, because Resident Evil's really kind of hung its hat on like scary, foreboding areas being where the worst things would happen. But it looks like in Resident Evil 9, thematically, they're turning that on its head. And some of the places where it looks like, oh, you're going to be okay here, like that's where things are going to happen to you. Evil Within. Yeah, I only played a little bit of Evil Within, but I can see that. What little I've played and what little I've seen, I can absolutely see that. It's a good call, Zach. Oh, animals, yeah. Yeah. Well, weren't there I might be getting that confused with Village. Weren't there animals in 7? Like infected animals? I might be just thinking about Village. Well, Marius, I think Resident Evil 6 would take the death toll off the charts. Because that was like a worldwide... Wasn't Resident Evil 6 like a wildfire situation? But yeah, like how many innocent lives have been swept under the rug in Resident Evil? Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Brandon, that's a good call. Yeah, the giant spiders need to come back for. Well, dude, you could have massive spiders, like especially in like the ruins of Raccoon City. If you have to go into the sewers, which you better go into the sewers, in the ruins of Raccoon City. Can you imagine the monolithic spiders that are going to be down there? Jill, Chris, or Claire ever show in Resident Evil Requiem? I don't think they show in Requiem. You might hear about them, or maybe even hear them, but I think you save them for another game. We just got Chris. Like, we just got Chris. And he's doing something with Neo Umbrella and the BSAA, if I'm not sure, right? There was some kind of conspiracy at the end of Village that he was going to look into, and I figured that would bring Jill in as well. I think Chris and Jill's stories will intertwine in that regard. But I think that'll be 10. I don't think we'll see that. Claire, I liked her in Revelations 2, but it seems like they've taken her out of a combatant spot. Even in the movies, like she's not so much of a combatant as she is more of like an administrative type person. Like a research type person. But we know she can go. We know she can handle herself, so you can put her in a game. It seems like they're not focusing on her in that capacity at Capcom. Resident Evil 10 should be Jill. It should be a Jill game. Absolutely. I thought Resident Evil 5 was very fun. I like the collectible stuff in Resident Evil 5. There were things in 5, though, that kind of lost me. Like, the whole plot with Tricell, I thought was not as tight as the Las Plagas plot in Resident Evil 4. Like, even the villains in 5, I didn't... Like, unless you were dealing with Wesker, like, I didn't buy them as viable threats. They didn't feel important. But in like Resident Evil 4, all the villains, like the village chief, and of course Osmond Sadler, and the little guy, I forget his name, Salazar. Like they all felt like important, good character, well-written characters, even if they were on screen for a little bit of time here or there. Resident Evil 5's villains didn't feel very well written to me. Again, except for Wesker. Like that game was about Chris and Wesker. And everything else kind of took a backseat to it. Ruins of the Spencer Mansion. Well, the Spencer Mansion is destroyed. Spencer Mansion was destroyed. You could go back to that area and find the big hole in the ground. Well, Brandon, I agree. I know that Capcom regrets how they ended Wesker there, but with a character like Wesker, even though you blew him up with a missile in a volcano engulfed by lava, but with a character like that, you could say, "Oh, he's got a backup body." You know, I mean. Because Resident Evil, some of its science fiction is a little ridiculous at times, but it's part of the fun of the series as well. It's kind of like this wacky kind of genetic sci-fi, dark horror, tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff that makes it so fun. You could absolutely write Wesker back in without having to remake anything. Just depends on how far they want to stretch it, you know. All right, Marius, take it easy, man. Appreciate you. Renzo Zukin, what's up? Yeah, looking forward to Resident Evil 9 in a big way now. I know the villain you mean. Yeah, I forget her name too. Yeah, Resident Evil's villains. Well, Wesker. Here's the thing: what makes a great villain is like following through on their promises. Right? Like I'm going to wipe out these 3 planets, and then they do it. That's one. B is being able the hero cannot overcome this villain. Just cannot do it. That's 2. 3, charisma. Now, you don't have to be dashing and having the audience hang on every word, but the believability of a villain, and like, I think Magneto is a great example of this. Magneto, Eisen, even Darth Vader, having presence, having gravitas, following through on your threats or your promises or whatever, and having a charisma about you, and also just being well written. Wesker's got all of that, man. He's got all of that. He's smart, he's charismatic, he's powerful, he's, you never know what angle he's playing. He's interesting. He's very interesting. And that's one thing I think a lot of people, like, I've had a lot of people talk to me. It's like, well, I just don't think Wesker's that good of a villain. And I'm like, not good or not interesting? No, I think he's interesting. I also think he's a good villain. Well, then why don't you think he's a good villain? Like, I think if you've got a villain who's interesting, you've already won the battle. Like, as far as, like, if they're a good villain or not. I don't think you can say a villain is interesting and also say they're not a good villain, you know? Because part of villainy is captivating an audience. And Wesker does that. I think Capcom writes pretty good villains. But Wesker is their best villain. Yeah, we'll see what the balance is like. It is the sunglasses. And not the Resident Evil movie thing where he threw the sunglasses and they like exploded or whatever that was. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing, RE movies? I did like their casting for Wesker in Resident Evil. What was it? Afterlife, I think it was. I think that's where Wesker appeared. That would have been interesting, Brandon. I I still feel like Wesker's betrayal of the Alpha team is still one of the greatest like turns, like plot twists in a video game. Really good stuff. You kind of start to put it together throughout the game in the original one. Oh, excuse me. But when it all comes together at the end, it's so gratifying. It feels so, it's like, oh, I'm witnessing a really good story. It's not just a horror game, it's a really good story. the dynamic of the characters in that first Resident Evil game, way back in 1996, are at the roots of why this franchise is so good, so endearing to this day. Like if that first game wasn't written as well as it was written, it wouldn't have been received the way it was received. Probably would have gotten a sequel, probably wouldn't have gotten a third game though. Like, I think people were curious enough about that first game to give it a try that got the sequel greenlit, Resident Evil 2. But the strong writing, the incredibly strong writing in that game is what made that series endear and really laid the blueprint for how you write games in the future of that series. It's character driven. It's all about investing in the characters, good and bad, plot twists, betrayals, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to take another quick break, everybody. I'll be right back in just a few minutes. back. I'm debating on, for Monday night, whether or not I should start a new game. I'm in the middle of playing a few games right now. My backlog is tremendous, but I'm considering about starting a new game on Monday night. I'm going to download the full version of Shinobi because I really do want to get into that, back into playing that. That demo was so awesome. I love that demo, but I'm going to have to get back into that, I think. I also want to play through some more Resident Evil games before the new one launches in February. So I think I'm going to try to complete RE2, both scenarios, maybe in January. Maybe play a couple of other classics before the new game comes out. We're like, 8 weeks away from this game? 8.5 weeks away from this game? That's crazy. It's coming up. It's coming up. And it's like, man, it could be any time now. Any time now. Well, put a poll out. Which game should I play next? So, should it be which Resident Evil game should I play next, or should it be just what do y'all want to? You know what? I'm going to put a post up. I'll put a post up right now. I'm going to put a post up. It's like, what would you all like to see me play next? What should I play next? And then based on that, I might make a poll like Monday or something like that. Boom. Very cut and dry. What game would you like to see me play next? Trails is happening. That's going to happen soon. I'm not sure when, but it's going to happen soon. I'm thinking I'm going to start a run through of Resident Evil, but I'm going to do it a little bit out of order. So I've got a game on Resident Evil 2 that I've been trying to go through. I think I was doing Leon A, Claire B, I think is what I was doing. So I know canon is Claire B, Leon, or Claire A, Leon B. That's canon, I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to finish the run I'm doing right now. And then we're going to play Resident Evil 1 Remaster from 2002. Still my favorite Resident Evil to this day. Then we're going to go through the other ones. I know, yeah. My backlog is crazy. Legend of Dragoon. After all these years, it would probably be new. It would probably be a new experience to me after this many years. I also want to play through the Grand Stream Saga so you all can see how amazing that game is. And I think I want to do a story playthrough of that game, just because there's so many things about the Grand Stream Saga that influenced me to make Aurora. I think I'd like to use kind of like a let's play on that and just talk about those things. Oh no, I appreciate that, Nelson, but that's fine. No, Legend of Dragoon, that's one that if it's not in my library, I wanna get it anyway. 'Cause I love that game. It's just I haven't played it probably in 20 years. It's been a long time. Also, I want to ask, since I've got you all here in the chat, um, so I really want to do some really good exclusive content for YouTube members and for Patreon members. And I keep meaning to ask you all, but what kind of, like, and I know all of you all aren't subscribed to me on those or supporting me on those, and that's fine. I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying, what types of content do you all think would be good for exclusive to members and stuff like that? Because sometimes I think I know what's good and then I'll post those things and then like nobody checks it out. So I want you all, like, I want to feel like I am giving you all really good value. And if the things I post aren't good value, I want to know what you all would like to see, because I do appreciate you all doing that. And a lot of people are like, well, I just want to support you. Well, I appreciate that. But I also want to make sure that I'm giving you the most bang for your buck, you know? So I might put a poll up on those things here soon too, just for members and stuff like that. And you all can get with me on those things. Just because, you know, I like to make sure that I feel like everybody's getting good value. Those of you who are backing me monetarily. And I'll tell you what, those of you backing me monetarily, it came in handy last month because it came in clutch last month because I had some expenses coming out for like studio stuff, like some things I needed to get done for like studio and animation and stuff like that. Had it not been for those dollars coming, I wouldn't have been able to get them done. So thank you all, everybody who's a member in here tonight. That really made the difference in November. So thank you, I appreciate that. But I think I'm going to hop off here for the night. If you haven't noticed, I'm having a hard time staying awake right now. I've worked so much the past 3 days, not been sleeping very much. So I'm going to try and get some good sleep. I'll probably conk out for 10 hours tonight. I probably won't, if I go to bed right now, I probably won't wake up till noon. I know that's crazy to say, but I am really, really beat. And I'm going to try to get some good rest. We'll try to come on tomorrow night over on the Aurora channel, I think, and do a hangout kind of like this. If I don't do one there, I'll probably come on here tomorrow night. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I definitely need to work on some content and some other things, but you know, damn it, right now I'm just kind of feeling hanging out with you all. Honestly. So I've got a lot of good vibes about the gaming industry and the way things are going right now, and I'm just so happy to be just a teeny tiny part of it. And it's an honor. It really is, and I really appreciate everybody who chose to hang out with me for the Game Awards. We had like 80 people watching at one point, and for a small channel like me, that's a lot. I really appreciate that. So we're going to keep it growing, though. Keep it growing, keep it going. So anyway, thanks for everybody being here tonight. This was a fun stream to talk and hang out and all that kind of good stuff. And until next time, I hope you all have a great night. Be safe, be good to each other, keep rocking. And if you don't see me tomorrow night, you will have new content on Monday. So y'all take care, and I'll catch you soon. Have a good night.